This is a little video I put together to show you what our gardens are looking like these days. Right outside our front door are the remnants of our bleeding hearts. They were magnificent, along with the Solomon seal that always greeted us when we left the house. But now some other things are starting to come into play. Looking over here, you'll see the some more bleeding hearts. That purple round thing, however, was a bowling ball. It's sort of a garden feature. And these are the allium. These are the smaller version. We have some larger ones in the yard, but these are magnificent. Even after they lose those blooms, they're really magnificent looking. And these are columbine that have just started to bloom here. Um, Columbine was my dad's favorite flower, and Marilyn has made sure we have some in the yard. We actually have some in another location as well. You'll see in a minute here some hydrangea. They're just starting to set some blooms. A lot of forget-me-nots that came out of the front window box. Some peonies that are setting their buds nicely, and one of Maryland's turtles. We always have to have a turtle in the garden. We haven't had much rain for the last 10 days, so you can see the yard is starting to brown, but actually before that, the grass was green and luxuriant, and it'll get that way again, too, as soon as we get some more rain. Here are some of her spreading phlox that she is really proud of, and they've started to take over this little area around one of our Bradford pear trees. And you'll see that tree in a minute here as I pull back. That's the first. Those are the first things that bloom in our neighborhood, and we have a lot of them. They're white and spectacular, and they're well past their prime at this point. We have a little front garden here where we have some of the giant allium that you'll see here in a minute. We'll get some nice close-up looks at these, and you can see um, what delicate structure they have. The Japanese maple behind them there. Here, and it'll get in and get a good tight focus. They're really very interesting, very delicate flowers, but when they're large like that, you see 100 or so of those little blooms all in that one ball. Another group of three. There's a butterfly bush that has been gigantic, but we keep hacking it back so we can get some control over that garden. Here's a white lilac that some friends gave Marilyn in honor of her mom, and we're very pleased to see it's got good blooms on it this year, and we look forward to a vibrant and fragrant future for this plant. And then up around the house, we have a lot of peonies that are just coming into setting their buds now. Here's a close up, kind of digitized a little bit here. You can see we have plenty of blooms. Um, we're leaving for Kansas City in shortly, and unfortunately, we may miss some of these blooms. It seems to happen every year for one reason or another. But there's plenty of them, as you see, um, kind of obscuring our Black Lives Matter signs. We're going to have to take care of that. Then on the other side of the driveway, as you'll see, there's two really great specimens. A viburnum bush on the right and a lilac tree on the left. Take a closer look at the viburnum. We got some really good blooms this year on it. They look a little bit like hydrangea and are probably part of that same family. Um, see these, sometimes you'll see these just out in the woods here in this part of the country. So they grow here very easily, and always a great sign of spring for us. More peonies, and then the lilac tree, different from the bush. This has been pruned in order to appear to be a tree rather than a bush. It blooms a little later than the bushes, and the fragrance is just lovely out in the driveway there. Some more of the allium, and here are some pinks. There's a scientific name for these that Marilyn knows, and she keeps mentioning to me, but I keep forgetting. Um, the gardens are going to be mulched here in a little bit, so what you see here is brown, bare ground, but once it gets mulched and that black mulch, really pretty dramatic. But by then, some of these blooms might not be available, and I wanted to be able to share them with everybody. There's some the favorites of a lot of people, iris. We have a lot of them here. Apparently, being under those large bushes, they're not faring as well as here's the viburnum again. You can see how thick it is. It's not faring as well as it might. And Maryland has been moving some of these out in order to get them more sun. And you'll see here in a minute that that works because here they are. So these have a lot more blooms on them. It's kind of windy the day that I was out there. And again, she's told me what these are, but I have forgotten. But there aren't they little nice little delicate flowers there. And as I walk on down the side of the house, you'll see some other things. Some things have come up that'll be in bloom later on. But right now, our most spectacular blooms in the gardens are poppies that are just starting to come. Uh, there's one fully open when I was doing this, and one about to come right now. Actually, out there's like three or four that are open, and it's pretty hard to beat the dramatic color and then the dark interior of a poppy. We have 12 blooms ready to come on this plant, and we look forward to that. Take a little look inside this one. Isn't that great? Maryland has put, I think, two more poppy plants in the front garden that we were looking at there. We'll see how they do next year. What we're passing by here is a monster. We don't want to get too close to it. This is a wisteria. You can see it's growing as aggressive as they always do. And if I got tangled up in one of those things, it might eat me alive. We have to keep trimming it back every year because it goes after our redbud tree. It's already ruined one arbor that we tried. But we're down here so you can see our tree peony. Um, I never knew there were two types of peonies. The plant type that we saw in front that die back, but then tree peonies that actually have woody plant material. You can see there, they don't die back in the winter. They just lose their leaves and then come back and sprout from the same structure with these beautiful flowers, beautiful peony flowers. Next Saturday, we're going to go to Linwood Gardens, which is a very special garden about 30 miles from us that has only tree peonies. Well, that's it for the garden, and I'll do another one of these when we have some other things in bloom. Take care.